our first guest today, and our Facebook partner, Oakland University. What's going to be happening there? How are they adjusting to the many variables at play as they approach fall learning? And joining us now is Dr. Michelle Piskulich, who is the Interim Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost at Oakland University. Michelle, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
We appreciate having you on. So how are you? How's your team doing at Oakland University?
Well, I'm fine. Thank you for asking. Our team here is very busy getting ready for the fall semester, and actually we're in the middle of our summer semester, so things are hopping here.
So as we continue to battle through this pandemic, there's so many variables at play. We're at a point right now where we're in a little bit of a spike, but the numbers are starting to level off a little bit, and that caution is still very much there. So as Oakland University is conducting its summer classes and preparing for the fall, how is the operations of summer classes and summer courses playing into the plans going into fall, working out what works and what maybe doesn't work and what may be most opportune as you have more students returning to campus in the fall?
Well, thank you for that question. It is a very important one. We are still mostly online this summer. We do have some of our clinical courses running in person, some of our laboratory courses running in person, and we actually have one lecture course running in person. It's actually both running in person and online so that students could choose which where they felt more comfortable being. But what we are trying to test is our circulation patterns, our any issues we might have with clarity about expectations, and just thinking through, okay, this happened, in a very controlled sense. What extra steps might we need to take to adjust for the fall? So, so far, so good. We are not, it feels like some of our thinking has paid off. And so we're very hopeful that we've anticipated as much as we can.
Many local school districts have plans in place because of the Michigan Safe Start Plan and Michigan Safe Schools Plan, hybrid learning plans in place for the fall, where, as you mentioned, students have the option of, I can be in class or I can be fully online if I'm not comfortable coming to campus, or if I decided that it's in my best interest, in an abundance of caution, to telecommute to campus each day for my classes. Explain the hybrid plan at Oakland University. How is that going to work? Is it going to be a situation where you have students that are in class learning in an in-class pace, and then students online have set courses? Is it going to be kind of a live situation where someone's learning live from the lecturer over the internet while everyone else is sitting in class? How's that going to work at Oakland University?
Well, it's actually a mix of all of the above. We have, for us, hybrid typically means that it's a mix of in-person and online for the student and the faculty member. So, students may come to class one day, and the other day they're online. Or in this environment, because our classroom capacities are limited, the faculty member may be a constant in the class, and the students actually rotate through so that they have some one-on-one time with the faculty member. So we will be, hybrid means that some portion is in class, some portion is online. For students, what we are trying to do is make sure that if they aren't able to come to class or don't feel comfortable coming to class, we definitely want them to stay home if they're not feeling well, that we're recording lectures or live streaming lectures, or in some cases both, so that students are able to make wise decisions about their engagement on the campus.
What about the students that want to return to campus and live in the dorms? How are you addressing that issue?
Yeah, we are having students in the dorm in the fall. It will be at a reduced capacity. We've worked with Oakland County Health Division to discuss what they believe was a safe plan. And there are others on campus that can speak more specifically about what's going on, but I can tell you that there's a lot of focus on cleaning and how to make certain that students are able to get their food in safe ways. I know that they're talking about how to manage the lobby space and those kinds of things. One aspect of the fall plan is that all the students who come into the dorms have to have taken a COVID-19 test. And we're also discussing some additional measures that we believe will help with detection and contact tracing, so that if there is an outbreak of some sort or a positive case, I would rather think of it as a positive case, that we can respond quickly and minimize its impact.
Joining us on the Oakland County Megacast is Dr. Michelle Piskulich. She is the Interim Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost at Oakland University, who is also our Facebook partner today on the Oakland County Megacast. So in March, we had such a swift transition for all schools at all levels, from in-person learning to having to go to virtual. And as we're approaching the fall, and there's still so many variables at play, what's going to happen in the fall in terms of coronavirus cases? Are we at risk for a second wave? Is the spike we're experiencing now going to lead to a surge in cases? Are we going to have a variety of different situations are at play that could play into what plan is in place at Oakland University and other places of learning? How has the transition that was made in March prepared Oakland University for future variables that may be at play and swift transitions going forward?
Well, one of the things I would say about March was we transitioned from being mostly fully in person or hybrid, which again is in person, to a fully online. And that was a huge lift for the faculty. People, I don't think most people understand how much different online teaching is than in-person teaching. There's a completely different way of approaching a course. So our faculty rose to that challenge, and I am so impressed by what they were able to do. We did a lot to help them, but they really made sure that our students were able to see their way through to the end of the semester, and that it was a successful semester. What it's done is that it made us focus on the training needs to make certain that the faculty had the tools available to them to make the experience for our students in an online classroom as valuable as it can possibly be. And these can be very high quality, engaged experiences if people know what they're doing. So we actually have invested a lot in training. We over this summer have trained, or by the end of this summer, we'll have trained 250 additional faculty in quality online teaching. We also, that's a full certification course. It's 4 weeks of intense work. They develop curriculum during that period of time while they're also learning new techniques. We also have a shorter course that faculty can opt for that is sort of that quality online teaching course, and a more self-paced course that they can do at their own on their own time without having to be engaged with specific deadlines. So we've trained a lot of additional faculty in that way. We've created help documents, and for both faculty and students, we hired additional people to help with the transition. So we're in a better place actually than we were in March, partly because we now know what the demands on what the workload is for both the faculty and the staff.
Do you think this model will remain in place post-pandemic?
Well, what's interesting is that some of the faculty have actually realized that online teaching wasn't what they thought it was. and are more positive about online, what can be accomplished online. So what I would say is if the pandemic were suddenly to end this year, that there, a lot of the faculty will come back and want to be in person because they like students or they wouldn't be faculty. But what I have been, as I've been talking to some of my faculty colleagues, what they're telling me is, I've learned some things that I think will make me a better teacher regardless of where I am, because now I have new tools available to me. So it just enriches the options for how you teach your courses, how you might engage students in different kinds of activities. It's another toolkit. And so I felt very good about that. And I suspect that the percentage of online courses will remain slightly higher, both because students recognize the flexibility it gives them and demand it, and because the faculty realize that maybe this particular course actually works better in an online format. I can tell you from my own experience, I taught a course online years ago, and what I taught the same course in class, and what I discovered was that sometimes that quiet student that doesn't say anything in the class, it has a lot more to say online, and that I could engage very thoughtful in discussions online. So there's some aspects about it that can be very positive.
Dr. Michelle Piskulich with us. She is the Interim Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost at Oakland University, our Facebook partner today on the Oakland County MegaCast. So as we're approaching the fall, and that's often a time where a lot of new students are coming in to Oakland University, whether they're starting their college experience or they're transferring in during their undergrad or coming in for graduate and doctorate programs. It's always a transition for them that's a little bit tough, especially for the freshmen coming in who are learning that independent student lifestyle on campus, off campus, whatever the case may be, for the first time. What kind of provisions are in place at Oakland University preparing for these students coming in under these circumstances to help them with that transition? Because I know from my experience going in late to Michigan State, it was a huge transition for me from coming from a smaller school, a community college in the local area, and then from a relatively smaller high school. And I would imagine it's a similar experience for a lot of other kids who are coming into their first college classes and experiences on campus.
Well, we have a very purposeful approach to working with our entering freshmen in particular. That we have, they are assigned an advisor. They have required advising appointments that they must complete. And that makes sure that we're doing these check-ins with them. We are also making certain that we are purposefully engaging with them in other ways. So one of the things that we are talking about expanding some of our peer mentoring. We are looking at how we help the faculty engage with them. Most of our students come in and they take a first-year writing course. That course is intended to be one of the ways we purposefully connect them to a member of our faculty, because we know that students who have someone that they develop a relationship with are more likely to persist when the going gets tough. So I will say to you that our intent in the fall is to do everything we can to provide opportunities for those students to meet with us, see us, and in some cases that will be virtually through Google Meet or some other software package, or our student-facing offices will be open. They will have a presence, assuming that nothing changes and we're able to do this. We obviously cannot have all our staff in an office while we're in the current stage of the coronavirus. But we do want to be certain that if a student walks up to an office that they normally would receive service in, that they will not find that office closed to them. So we're determined to be just as engaging as we always are, just using more modalities in order to achieve that.
And the college experience is so tough for multiple reasons, beyond the classroom, whether it be in the classroom or outside of the classroom. And especially with an ongoing pandemic, with all the other struggles that are in place in people's lives right now as a result of COVID-19, what is Oakland University doing in terms of supporting the mental health of its students and its faculty as we continue to battle through this treacherous time?
Well, one of the things we have really worked hard to do is our Graham Health Center does a fabulous job of reaching out to students and really providing the kind of support that they need when they're struggling with some mental health issues or just anxiety. A lot of it's anxiety issues surrounding just pressure that they feel, and certainly now that pressure is very high. So the Graham Health Center has been able to pivot and do virtual groups and individual visits through telehealth. We certainly work with our faculty. We have resources that they can take advantage of when they're feeling stressed. We've been trying to communicate some of the different ways in which people are able to get assistance if they need it. One of the things that we do have is a great Dean of Students office that works very closely with my staff on issues that, sometimes we see these issues crop up as behavioral issues within the classroom, and we work together to make certain that student gets that support that they need. We were able to do that in the winter semester when, frankly, it was more difficult because students couldn't even go to a coffee shop to use Wi-Fi and do their work. Some of them were having problems with connectivity, having a quiet place to do their coursework. And that stress, we were hearing about that stress. And so we also have a crisis line that they're able to call, and even members of my staff answer that helpline to make certain that people are getting directed to services and are able to thrive in our environment.
Dr. Piskulich, anything else you'd like to touch on today, or any other important information that we should be talking about before we go?
Well, I would just say that one of the things that I think is going to be very important for students and faculty and staff coming back in the fall, Oakland University has said that masks are a requirement. Face coverings, masks are a requirement. Every student, faculty, and staff member will get a reusable, washable face mask that they can use, branded for Oakland University. Everybody's going to be doing health screens. Everybody's going to be required to sign a pledge. So we expect people who are going to be on our campus to practice social distancing, practice good hygiene, and to be respectful of other members of our community by protecting them by wearing their own face covering.
So real quickly, the face coverings, will they be required when they're on campus, like walking from one building to the other?
Yes.
So not just inside the classroom, it's going to be at all times.
Yes, and part of that is because it's very difficult on a college campus where you have pathways for people to stay physically distant. So that is our plan.
Well, Doctor, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it, and have a good day and stay healthy.
You as well. Dr. Michelle Piskulich with us. She is the Interim Vice President for Academic Affairs and the Provost at Oakland University with us on the Oakland County MegaCast.